Welcome to the Splitting Hairs podcast. Just a couple of guys being dudes tonight, ready to talk about the national championship game that's looming here on Sunday for both the 1 and 2 seeds in all of the FCS playoffs bracket. Stack, how's it going, man?
Oh, good. Getting ready to fly out tomorrow. Go support the boys. It'll be a good time.
Nice. What you flying out of Midway? You flying out of O'Hare?
Oh, yeah, I'm going Midway. O'Hare is just doing too much.
It's chaos. Absolute chaos.
Too much traffic, yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited. What time do you get in?
1:40.
1:40 tomorrow. And where are you staying?
I got an Airbnb.
Nice.
No, it'll be in Dallas. It's right, like kind of the middle, so it'll be fun.
It's fun. You staying with a couple of guys or what?
Yeah, Ben Dinkle, a few other people.
Nice. Dinkle's making the trip. That's cool. Good stuff, man. It's about to be a blast. I know there's a lot of festivities going on leading up to the game. Obviously, Friday, there's stuff going on. There's the alumni event at the Star. There's the stuff that we got going on. Are you doing the walkthrough?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be there at the walkthrough, and then we have the JFPA event. Everybody who's in good standing, make sure you try to check your email. You should have gotten a message from Ryan McKnight and the team there to make sure you get your tickets because it's player only +1 as well. Then it will open up to more people because obviously last year it got kind of crowded at the Shark Bar, I believe is the name of it. So yeah, should be a good time. Excited to see everybody. It's been a minute since last year for most of us who live remote and outside the state of South Dakota. So it'll be exciting to catch up and see how everybody's doing, and then obviously see the battle that takes place on the field, which is what we want to talk about. But before we dive into that, business as usual, we want to thank our sponsors, as this is probably the last podcast of the year. We would like to give a deep, heartfelt shout out to Cottonwood Coffee and Bistro out of Brookings, South Dakota. Been with us since the inception of this whole thing. Obviously, winter menu is probably in full swing there in South Dakota. Make sure you check that out. If you need to go and study to get a good jump start on the new year and all the goals that you did or didn't set, make sure you check them out. They got the bistro, obviously for more of your meals, sit down, chit chat with your friends. And then they got the main location. If you just want to grab a cup of coffee, maybe study, dive into the books, they got that as well. Don't forget their e-commerce platform at cottonwoodcoffee.com. Any orders over $10 is on the house. So make sure you check that out as well. Cottonwoodcoffee.com. Lastly, want to shout out True North Retirement Team for sponsoring us this year. No matter what stage of life you're in, they'll help improve your financial hygiene and get you set up for whatever life throws your way, whether it's setting you up with a life insurance policy that you can use for various circumstances that might arise in your life. You can check them out for a free consultation at 480-323-5801. All right. So Stack, I've been watching a lot of Montana film. Have you dived into any of their stuff?
Yeah.
What's your take? What are your initial impressions?
This game's going to come down to, I think, what a lot of games came down to this year. Like, obviously, our skill is legit, is as legit as they come, and probably FCS in the history of FCS being a thing. And I
heard it wasn't very good though.
Bro, okay. This is another thing, like, because I be trying not to like get into it like on Twitter and stuff, but like a lot of people just be like yip yapping and all that stuff. It's like, bro, if you're not putting bread on it, I don't want to hear you talk about SDSU's offense and all that, because like if you had to bet money on it, bro, like you're betting on them and you're betting on our skill. So I'm not really trying to hear that when you say like, oh well, their skill this, and you know who I'm talking about, their skill that. Like, bro, stop. Like, come on. All right, so like let's stop playing with that.
Yeah, man, it's always people with like don't have their name in their profile picture. There's some troll action. I know they like the smack talk. Listen, we love it as well, but put your name to it. Don't be a clown.
Right, bro.
It's my
come
take,
on, bro.
Moving right along, didn't mean to derail you there. Obviously, we know we have the skill necessary to get the job done.
I think where they get beat is the trenches. I'm not sold on their offensive line at all. Like one bit. I think North Dakota State really got after them, and their best defensive end was out that game. Jackson coming in this game healthy with 8 guys that can do you crazy at any point in time. And I think that's somewhere where the Jacks will really be able to expose that offense. I mean, the quarterback's good. Receivers are dynamic players, I think. Defensively wise, I'm interested to see kind of how they line up against this because, like, I know, like, we're running gap scheme and stuff like that. I know they run that kind of odd front a little bit with that zero nose, who is legit. Like, their nose guard's a dude.
Governor.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, if you're gonna have like a zero nose there, and you're gonna essentially like cut some of our offensive linemen free to like go to the next level, and like our offensive line is really good at blocking in space. Like, I don't see them being successful in the odd front against this.
I would agree. I think they definitely are going to throw some different looks at us just to kind of keep us off schedule, maybe to try to force the issue. Against Furman, I noticed they were aligning a lot in like a 4-3, just a traditional 4-3, 3 deep shell, understanding like that they have the talent, basically go beat us, try to beat us with your skill talent. A lot of confidence in that. They have a really good corner. It's going to be an exciting matchup on the edge with the Yankee twins. And in that, they have like one or two, really, I'm trying to get their names pulled up here. But I do know, like, in terms of their skill talent, they're switching sides of the ball here just for a second. They do have that running back who won the Jerry Rice Award. They obviously have Junior Bergen, Clifton McDowell, as you mentioned. He's a playmaker, obviously protects the football. He's got only 3 interceptions on the year. Didn't start the year out as the guy. So obviously different total body of work than a guy like Mark, but still has proven it when he need to. And obviously he makes plays with his legs as well. I noticed in both their first game was against, I was watching Furman, but they had a first game against somebody that they just beat the brakes off of.
Destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah. You can pull it up here. I pretty much watched our like opponent games, Montana State, and then North Dakota State, just because we're similar to North Dakota State, not totally. And then certainly Montana State like opponent. I wanted to see what they would do in the trenches. Obviously, we like to run the ball. Similarly at the quarterback position, not obviously that's not our whole MO like Montana State.
My guy Finn, I had him on my bad. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
Finn I had him on my flag football team my senior year. He was my GOAT. He was my gadget man. What up, Finn? How you doing, big dog?
Let's go. What's up, Finn? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ronald Jackson is the DB that is pretty legit. And then hopefully we'll see that matchup on the edge and see what we got overall. But yeah, again, going back to what makes them tick on offense, Clifton McDowell protecting the football. Against Furman, he was short hopping the ball a lot, short and away to receivers. I don't know if that was a function of him trying to be cautious and not force the issue, or if he was just underthrowing it. But I think at times he'll either try to do too much or he'll be pretty risk averse and not try to, do anything that inhibits his team. But against us, and as seasoned as we are across the defensive front and at the linebacker level, I think the weight is almost immensely and solely on Clifton McDowell's shoulders to try to win this game. He's a Texas native, so he is a Texan, and I know there's going to be some added juice, and he's going to want to come down here to Lone Star State, show out on the biggest stage for his guys. But I think when the lights get a little bit brighter and you're not playing at home, there's a lot that can go haywire for you, especially when you're playing timid or you're trying to not make a mistake or you're trying to do too much. I mean, we've seen it time and time again with quarterbacks who faced the Jacks this year who are pretty good. Aiden Bauman being one of those guys from the number 3 overall seed. So what's your take on them from an offensive perspective?
Offensive perspective, I think a lot of his production on the ground, like Clifton McDowell isn't like a true dual threat quarterback. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of those rush yards that he gets comes on like broken plays where he's kind of dragging it out to the outside, like, oh, like this guy's covered. Okay, I'll just run it for these few yards or something like that. And I think he's not going to get a lot of plays like that against our defensive line, at least, because I think one thing that we kind of saw earlier in the year was like pass rush lanes weren't getting adjusted that well. Even I think the moment it switched was SIU this year, where they were letting that little midget get out of there a whole bunch. And then like in the second half, you just saw like our defensive line just surround him. And I think that's something similar is going to happen this week. I'm not sold on their offensive line and pass pro just from what I've seen on film from the last game they had against North Dakota State. I think we got some guys that are, I mean, this is no disrespect to them at all. I think we got some guys on our defensive line that are a lot more dynamic pass rushers than they had. And I think we're more stout against the run. And I don't, they go with those big gaps and they'll back a guy up when he's pulling and stuff like that. Like guys like Ryan Van Marl's been playing college football for 6 years. He's going to see that. You know what I'm saying? So maybe some added juice that they got coming out of here, but I think handedly, like you're going to notice our defensive line manhandle guys up front.
Yeah, I mean, they go pretty big across the board. I mean, it's certainly an NFL size offensive line that they've got. In terms of what they want to do, I would imagine they're going to try to get the ball to their playmakers in space, right? They're going to try to get the ball to Bergen in different types of ways, maybe some jet sweeps, maybe try to test us on the edge. There were some times this year that I'm trying to think if it was Villanova a little bit tested us a bit on the edge and was able to get some stuff off. I think they're going to try to stress the issue in that fashion. With whomever has the hot hand, they'll probably try to ride the hot hand a little bit here and there. But in terms of what Clifton McDowell's got to do, I mean, he's got to stay on schedule, stay ahead of the sticks, make sure that if he's going to allow his team to be in a position to win, they can't have mental errors. They got to limit those, and then obviously protecting the football and staying ahead of the chains. Which, like, considering how well we protect against the run, I would imagine he's going to have to take off, like you said, very Nick Baker-esque. That was the reference to the undersized gentleman of Southern Illinois. They like those small quarterbacks. Shout out to Stone, our friend of the pod there, who also thinks that we lack the skill to match up with them in this game. So I can't tell if he's taking a jab at us just for gits and giggles or if he actually believes that. But either way, they definitely have – I will say this. Junior Bergen reminds me of a guy you played with. He reminds me of Cade Johnson. Cade's a bit more speedy in terms of the amount of revolution of his feet when he's running. Bergen seems more powerful in his stride, a little bit longer in length, specifically when he's returning the ball. But he can pick him up and put him down. At first, I thought he was being overhyped. His speed was being overhyped. But then I watched now he literally is just he's got some pretty powerful strides for a return guy who's obviously not that large of a guy. He's a little bit more slight of frame. And then their freshman running back who was a Jerry Rice Award winner in terms of a comp reminds me a lot of Angel Johnson. But again, is a little less. I mean, Angel Johnson's jacked, right?
He looks like he's been juicing.
Right? Yeah, so he's gonna get a test from the NCAA.
He's getting tested every time.
Right? I mean, go for it. Some people just got it like that. I don't even know if you could get stuff like that in Volt. Where's he from? Viborg?
Oh,
Viborg, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Now the water's just different in South Dakota, man. Look at Chase. He's huge too. But yeah, man, like he's a good running back. He's got good vision. He's young. So that's another thing, like experienced running backs that we played throughout the course of the season. We've made them look roughly rudimentary, like kind of lost at times. They have a 5th or 6th year senior as well. I'm trying to pull it up. The way their website user experience is trash. You guys got to fix this. You need to get with Learfield if you aren't, because this is garbage. I thought you guys had a ton of money there in Montana.
So yeah, who knows what they're doing with it, man.
Just not for their band. They had to get Montana State to go into their pocket. That's weird to me. I don't understand. But I did think it was kind of funny how someone chimed in and said that bands don't make a difference at all. I don't know. What do you think about that? What's your take as I pull this up here?
I mean, they said bands don't make a difference at all, as in the game, or like just
They have
my
no
band
effect
better
and
than
no
your band?
impact. They have no effect and no impact on the game.
I mean, as a fan, I think surely it does. I mean, as a player, yeah, like it's one way or the other. It's fun to have that environment. Like it makes it feel like it's a big college football game. But as a fan, I think it goes like miles, like for your game experience there. Like,
Agreed.
I mean, you're not trying to show up to a game and just like listen to scoreboard music the whole time. Like that's weak.
Agreed. Yeah. In the comments, I wish someone would pull this up. This is the worst
So I opened it up. I just saw
I've
the
ever
comments and I
experienced
saw that it
in my
wasn't-
life.
I'm sorry, you said that again?
I said this is the worst website experience of my life. But anyways,
That bad?
oh, it's awful. Here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up the notes. So, anyways, how do you think the game plan of South Dakota State is going to fare coming into this game? With how do you think it's going to fare in relation to what Bobby Houck puts together on the defensive side of the ball? What do you think Coach Luan's got dialed up?
I think South Dakota State, every time, like, you got to live and die by establishing the run game to some degree. And I think, with the O-line that we have, like, if you got it, use it, right? This is the last game of the season. Like, I think up front, our guys are bruisers. They haven't seen an offensive line like this, right? And it's not like, it's no discredit to them whatsoever. This is a very good football team rolling in here. I don't want to sound like I'm saying like they're terrible or they're trash, because they're not. I just think this is an all-time FCS football team ever. So like when I'm making comparisons, like it's not like, good to bad or not. You know what I mean? But I think you got to lean on the 605 Hog to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, I think the overall approach to the game is going to be to continue to work the plan in the script, which is going to be obviously just taking care of winning first down. I think if we win first down, we stay on schedule. They're going to have to insert a lot of bodies into the box to stop Isaiah. And so then I think that's going to open things up on the perimeter. Obviously, this is not revolutionary. It's pretty cut and dry how you would attack people. I think a big difference maker, as it was in 2009, nobody cares about, 15 years ago, but our tight ends ate on Bobby Houck defenses. Colin Koshard had multiple touchdowns. I think Zach Hines is going to be open across the middle of the field because what they have to do with their safeties in the run game, having to seesaw him, bring him in to be an extra fit, because if Isaiah gets up to second level, just like the 605 Hogs, like Mason, Gus Miller, shout out to Gus for winning the Remington Award for the best FCS center as well. We might as well call it Center University as well, because we've had Ona Sorgi, McKnight, Gus, Will Castle. I mean, we've had some pretty solid stalwarts there in the middle, anchoring the offensive line. So shout out to him. He's got more time in blue and white, so that's going to be exciting to watch. And I think once they just get up on the next level like that, I think it's lights out, really. And so they're going to have to do things to create extra run fits. I would say they'll probably bring some cat blitzes with corners from the boundary. They're going to do a lot of things to try to mix us up. It'll depend on how balanced we can be, or how balanced we need to be honest. I'm excited to see what Coach Luan has dialed up, though. 3 weeks to prepare. Everybody's been championing how much time Bobby Houck's getting to prepare for this one. We're getting the same amount of time. Everybody's talking about Junior Bergen and how good he is, and he is good. I haven't heard a peep about Tucker Large. You gotta defend him too. I think he leads the country in punt return and kick return yardage. The country.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is they need to create some kind of storyline and generate some kind of hype around this. So like for Montana, in my mind, right, like that's kind of their guy. Because, like, you know, I forgot what game it was, but like he literally won them a football game. Like, not their offense, not their defense, like just him solely. Well, not okay, that special teams unit, because there's some great blocking going on there too. But like just the effort by him, like individual effort by him, like has won them football games. So I mean, if you're Montana press, or if you're, you know, press is not on one side or the other, like that'd be the guy I'd bring up too, even though Tucker may be better than him at that. But like,
Yeah.
you know, you got to live and die on that dude. That he's a big part of why they're here. His individual effort.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say that one of the things I did notice, Bergen does like to catch the ball in the air. I would prefer Tucker do that a lot more. He's done it plenty, but I think he likes the hesitation that occurs when they rugby style kick it. He can kind of survey the defense, see if it's worth picking up, and hopefully it doesn't cripple us too much to let the ball roll a little bit more. If he decides to, you know, Peter, get away from it, that's the call that they make for those who aren't aware. So it'll be interesting to see which side of the ball gets the advantage in special teams overall, because I think it's pretty evenly matched. But when we look at Montana, obviously there was a lot of chatter early on in the year, like, are they legit? Struggled mightily with D2 Ferris State. For those who don't know, Ferris State is a pretty big power at their level. So, I mean, you got to take that into consideration. But playing at Washington Grizzlies Stadium and struggling with them didn't bode well. They were able to make some changes, shake some things up, go with Clifton McDowell. They're averaging 197 yards through the air. They're putting up 32 points a game. It's going to be interesting because they don't have a great – I mean, they have a great percentage in terms of conversions. They're 43% on third downs, but we're tops in the nation in third down stops. So something's got to give there. And then, you know, when you look at Clifton McDowell came from Central Arkansas, so he's a transfer. Really trying to he's ingratiated himself into the Griz program, and in order for them to be able to really make some hay in this game, he's going to have to win on third down, whether it's with his feet or with his arms. You know, his arm. I don't know if he's ambidextrous. That would be funny though. Just chucking the ball left-handed. I don't know. Pat Mahomes does it, right? So,
nuts.
And then finally, I knew I could rely on some good coverage from Matt here. Eli Gilman. Eli Gilman is the kid from Minnesota, actually, high school standout, and he won the Jerry Rice Freshman of the Year award, given out to the best freshman player. Mark Gronowski was up for that. For those folks who don't remember that, just a short time ago when he took us to Frisco in the spring season with Stack on that squad. And then, you know, this year's honoree, the 6 foot, 205 pound Gilman, he did not look 6 feet tall. I think that's generous. I would say he's probably 5'10".
So they put a deck of cards in the shoes for that one.
Yeah, right. You know, he struggled a little bit against North Dakota State. North Dakota State has a pretty solid defense. They even did pretty well against us. I think it's hilarious hearing again, the chatter. They're probably just, you know, shit posting on X or Twitter or whatever, stating that Furman was the best defense that they've seen all year. I can't even say that with a straight face.
Yeah,
they know better than to say that.
They're trying to cope right now, because like it's another one of those situations. Like a lot of teams, like almost every single team in the playoffs saw that played us this year. Like you just don't know what you don't know, and when you pull up and you've never seen football played quite like this before, you're like a deer in headlights. You're like, oh, what do we do? Because like right now, as your All-American nose guard, you're playing. You're like, I have never seen an offensive line like this before. As their offensive line, they're saying like, I've never seen an entire defensive like line unit like this before. Quarterback, you know, these DBs are kind of nuts. Like
at every position. You know, the funny thing is, and we're high on the Dyshon train, right? But Dyshon was literally, I think it was Tanner Castora was saying that the NFL scouts that he's interviewed and just talked to, who have come to Jackrabbit practices, stated explicitly, Dyshon is the most pro-ready guy. And he gets like the least run. And he's, you know, And that's just because there's a litany of guys on the field that are ready to rock, pro ready. And even on the Montana side, like you said, All American nose guard, you got Gus Miller, Remington Ward Center. You got Mason McCormick, league bound. You got Garrett Greenfield, league bound. And have you seen what Evan Aronson has done in the playoffs to some of these cats?
Yeah, it's just
Catching bodies left and right, man. I mean,
and it can't all come down on him, right? Because like it's, you know what I'm saying, like, he could be a great player, but like it'll be a test for their other defensive line, because it's like, okay, well, like it might not come, like he's not going to make as many individual plays as he usually does. Like it's just going to come down to that. Our offensive line is that good. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. Like, what are you other guys going to do individually? Like, where do you step up there?
exactly. I mean, this is going to come down to like literally who wants it more. I mean, so friggin' cliched, but who wants it more at their individual position group to make a game-changing play? And I just don't see them being Montana stacking enough of these. And you and I try to be pretty neutral and biased. Like, obviously, we want our alma mater, 2 former athletes at South Dakota State, to succeed, go back to back. But I like being pretty balanced and fair in my criticism. I just don't think they're going to be able to stack enough game-changing plays and minimize all the mental errors to overcome the depth that South Dakota State has. What's your take on that?
Yeah, and like you said, we like to be neutral. Like, I'm not, just trying to like blow smoke here, but like literally, if I had to like actually bet my life on this game, I'm going with South Dakota State every time, even if I didn't go here. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I think one huge thing that Stone said, like, their skill is good and all this, like, and the reason, like, he said that about SIU, but like when he said that, I don't know if he had linebackers in mind, but like that's what kind of made the difference for them, and that's why they were able to do like a lot of stuff they were able to do. Their linebackers were like true athletes, right? And these Montana linebackers, they're not by no means bad players at all, but like they're not that kind of athlete. Like they're the kind of athlete that we see every like week in and week out. So like I don't know if they're going to be able to make those same kind of plays that those dudes were making. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of it's going to come down to them, and then a lot of it's going to come down to this O-line seeing what they're actually about, because I'm still not super impressed with them.
Yeah, I mean,
like those wide gaps not going to save you. That's just how I feel.
Right. I mean, they try to leverage space so that they can kind of make you have to close more space as a defensive player. But this isn't defenses of old where we're playing the man. We're playing to make plays. We're playing to dent the offensive line and get in the backfield and wreck shop. Football on the tape, you'll see it at every single wave, every hockey line that we send out there is a function of guys who have played a lot of football and are capable of both rushing the passer and shutting down the run. Caden Johnson, I don't think we've talked about him enough this year. Extremely high motor. There are certain times where he maybe gets sucked a little bit inside and then loses contain. Just trying to create some fair criticism here. There are times, Jared Balloon, Max Balloon. I was thinking Jared DePriest, Max Balloon. Both of them are stalwarts on the inside. Obviously, DePriest has stepped up huge. Probably one of the few guys on the team that had like legit looks, like you've said time and time again on the pod, at FBS level competition. And then obviously we got Van Marl, like you've talked about, the human field goal blocker left and right. And then what he does in the run game is underrated and, underappreciated by many who are probably just watching the plays and not seeing, what he does taking up bodies and preventing them from climbing the next level. Right. So guys, a lot of the reason you're a big chain gang guy, I want you to kind of highlight this for the fans. A lot of the reason our linebackers are able to play free and make so many plays is because our chain gang D-line takes up so much space and bodies and requires so much attention that they can fast flow and play free. Talk about what that does for linebackers.
Mainly, one thing that I kind of seen like this year and kind of like as I was kind of getting older and watching these guys get older is like it puts pressure on the offense because like you actually have to like double team Ryan, right? Like there's a lot of teams that'll, they'll bump up, like he'll just give you a bump and then leave, and then all right, I'm on the linebacker. Like with Ryan Van Mark, like you have to stay on that double because if you don't, it's a TFL right there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just giving our linebackers so much time. And speaking of our linebackers, talking about like Isaiah Stallbert, like the year that he has had, like he has really put on a clinic this year.
With physicality, with at the point of contact, ripping at the ball,
Effort, all of it.
turnovers, effort, running downfield, playing multiple levels at different positions throughout his career, showing up in special teams, making plays in punt block, blocking punts. I mean, you look at every level. It's almost annoying because I try to be critical. I would say there are times, and then Tucker cleans it up. There are times when maybe we get beat on the perimeter a little bit. Maybe we play over aggressive and bump and run. Maybe we're not in the hip pocket, not in phase like we should be as we're carrying the receiver downfield. Maybe it's zone and we're carrying it off to the too high safety. Whatever it is, whether it's Colby Herter or it's Tucker Large, we're cleaning it up. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's going to be interesting. Now, I am interested to see. I think the best matchup for me is their defensive line against our 605 Hogs. I'm really excited to see. I mean, Cale Edwards was wreaking havoc against Furman, number 0. He had a big TFL when Furman had an opportunity to take more momentum early. Probably could even strip the quarterback. And Tyler Huff's a good quarterback, right? The quarterback for Furman, who they saw. Then you have fellow number 47, Kellen Dietrich. He's a backup to Gubner, like hello Gubner. That's how I kind of remember his name. He's the backup nose. Comes in at 6'3", 244. I mean, he has 9 tackles and a sack. They're pretty stout. They remind me a little bit of, kind of the CAA defenses we've seen, like Delaware, Villanova, kind of these, they got some physicality, they got some dudes, but like, can they put it all together type thing?
And can you do it for a whole game? It's like, I think that's just the beauty of like how our offense works. Like, yeah, you may have had a good first quarter. You may have had a good first half. Like third quarter may have been solid for you, but like, are you going to be willing as a nose guard in a 0 to take those double teams all day and still be a dude?
I'm glad you isolated it to the D-line. Can the D-line do it all game? Because we know as a team they can. As a team, Montana has certainly put together an impressive playoff run. In my opinion, they've been tested far better than we have. But now, is that a function of the Jacks being so dialed in, so prepared, feeling so slighted? I mean, anybody who's followed along, they can't even figure out which Dakota we are still. And I love that shit. I love it. Keep disrespecting us intentionally, unintentionally. It's likely incompetence and not chalked up to malice because most people are incompetent. Just listen to one of our pods and you'll see real quick. But yeah, man, it's going to be fun to watch because they're very tested as of late. They being Montana, the Griz, and we haven't necessarily had to grit out. I mean, we literally haven't had to grind out any of these games really. I mean, the closest game we faced this year was Montana State, and that was like almost a season ago.
Yeah.
Southern Illinois. I mean, we go up by over 2 scores if that tip ball doesn't happen to Zach in the red zone, in the end zone. So I think there's a lot of things you got to take in context. The transitive property doesn't work. I mean, yeah, they struggle with North Dakota State, but North at a much better caliber than they had, at different points during the regular season. I think, especially after Coach Entz announced that he was taking the job at Southern Cal, I think that, that add a little more juice going into a very hostile environment, which I will say, were you on the team in 2015?
No.
Yeah, so that place is nuts. Like Washington Griz Stadium is one of the wildest and loudest places I've ever heard and been in. And I've been in the Shoe in Ohio State. Obviously, I talked about it on one of the previous pods, playing at Purdue, which is not really known for a huge raucous environment, but 75,000 is pretty good, So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm interested to see how their fan base travels because obviously, last year we had, I want to say we probably had 60. It was probably 60-40, and we forced the issue. I mean, that place was loud. We were drawing some penalties. It was a sight to see. So,
Yeah.
In terms of keys to the game, before we continue to ramble here, what are some of the things that you think that we need to do? We'll just start special teams. What do you think we got to do to win that phase?
Just being disciplined in your job. I think, like a lot of those plays that, Junior Bergen gets off and, it's obviously he's a special player, but some of that is also guys overrunning stuff, guys not being physical at the point of attack when like a guy's going to block you. Like you gotta just want it that much more. Knowing these guys and knowing how Coach Rogers is coaching them and knowing what Ron Pavlik and all the other coaching staff is coaching up, like they're gonna want it. Now I'm interested to see how Montana kind of responds to that physicality that I know that we bring to special teams. So for special teams, just physicality, doing your job. I think for offense, offense, it's kind of hard to kind of give them, we better make sure we do this. You know what I mean? But like, it's just keep doing what you've been doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, not getting knocked off your square, no stupid penalties. That's a huge one. Also, I'll go for offense. We cannot have any offsides or, dumb stuff that we can kind of control. And defense, I would say just containing the QB. Because, like, I think he's at his best when he kind of gets to scramble out and he gets a little bit more time and someone can kind of squeeze out and get open. And I know our guys are up for the challenge every day of the week, twice on Sunday. So I'm excited to see what they do.
Twice on Sunday, and we're playing on Sunday for those who don't know, who are going to be remote, aren't making the trip, 1 p.m. Central Time on ABC. Speaking of games that were in prime time, and speaking of special teams, we got to do what we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do it. PATs, our snap game and execution has been great this year. Want to see John Bell continue to get the laces out. Obviously Dustman, he's clutch when the rhythm and timing and everything is hitting like it should. I have no doubts they have worked on that ad nauseum the last 4 weeks, and things are going to work to their advantage on Sunday. I also think from a kick-off perspective, it wouldn't hurt to kick it to an up back, In my experience against Montana, they kicked it to me. So, I mean, that was their first mistake in the playoffs. They should not have I'm just kidding. Definitely kidding there. But as far as punting goes, I mean, when we do punt, which is not terribly often, I think directional punts, kicking it out of bounds, potential rollout kicks, obviously Coach Cashmore is going to get them right. He is a full-time, full hands-on deck, all in, just special teams only, exclusive to special teams. So I'm curious to see if they're going to have a little fun too. You mentioned offense, just do what we do. Couldn't agree more. I'd like to see us run the ball all day, bleed the clock, run it right down their throats, demoralize them. Long, sustained drives, they're going to want to try to do the same thing, I'd imagine, right? Or something similar, whether it's with Gilman or it's they have another running back. See if I can pull them up here. It's their upperclassman white running back. I know it's a terrible.
Oh, yeah. Dude. Osmo. Is that his name?
Yeah, Ost. What'd you say?
Osmo.
Yeah, I think it's Os something. So apologies on that. Yeah, it's Nick Osmo. That's right, number 26. So yeah, that's a dude who's going to be more of their bruiser, and I think you're going to have to honor him too. 640 some yards on the year, and he's averaging 5 a clip. Is that 5 a clip? No disrespect to Coach Eck. Is that 5 a clip against Idaho? Is that 5 a clip against Sac State? who, gave up a lot of points, but scored a lot of points. Big Sky is a respectable conference. It really is. It's not the Valley, man. Come on, get out of here with that. I mean, seriously, it's Montana and Montana State in the Big Sky with a little sprinkle of Idaho, and then maybe some Northern Arizona, little Northern Arizona action there. But that's what it is. I'm really excited to see this game because once it kind of emerged during the course of the year, and I'm curious to get your take on this, that this was the 1 and 2 team more than likely, and that they were kind of on a collision course. I was like, all right, let's go. I'm sure the folks up north kind of thought that they were going to emerge, but it's a long road to the top when you're on the road, So what's your take? I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I am too. I think it'll be fun to kind of dispel a lot of that Big Sky, Missouri Valley kind of talk, because like it has been ramped up a little bit recently since, my senior year we got beat by Montana State, and then Montana State got beat by NDSU. So like it's been kind of like a thing, and then Montana just beat NDSU. And I think this is one of those games where, the season will be over for like the senior, like some seniors will be done, but like this is setting a precedent going forward. You know what I mean? Like we're the big dogs here, right? National championship goes through here no matter what. You know what I mean? And kind of just I'm excited to see them kind of make a statement here, make a statement, set a precedent for even next season, like have these guys worried about like, yeah, we may have had their first few games next year. They'll be like, yeah, we had a good game, but like, bro, how are we going to hang with South Dakota State? Because like, they're just different, you know what I'm saying? And I'm excited to see these guys put on a show. I know all the seniors are going to put on a show. I just wanted to say that, guys like Mason Hines, Garrett, and Isaiah, and Dyshawn,
Jaden, Jackson,
yeah.
Mike Morgan, Isaiah Stallberg, Dyshawn,
all of them, like
Jason Freeman, everybody.
Yeah, even
all
in his short time here. Yeah, like you guys have no idea, like the perception that you changed to this school. Like
they raised both the floor and the ceiling. They raised the floor of what the statement is the standard. That's the floor. And then right now they're ranked as the 3rd best overall team in FCS history, according to metrics, right? After Sunday, will that change? That's what I want to see. It's like find your ceiling. I had a teammate, Chris Johnson, who was an athletic freak. He came from Council Bluffs, Iowa. He was small, but just able to put on a ton of weight, could lift, could jump. He was a freak. And Coach Lee, now the head coach at Vanderbilt, he was our linebackers coach at the time. He'd always tell him, Chris, you got to find your ceiling. What you need to do is just find your ceiling, because athletically, he would get stronger every year. His production would increase. That's the room that the Jacks are in right now as a program and a university. We've heard the narrative, blue blood versus new blood, right? So it's going to be fascinating to see what transpires on Sunday that may change the complexion of the entire FCS. Obviously, the statement being the standard, that statement is a resounding national championship win. I think anything less than that will be a personal disappointment to all the guys on the field, but they're not even thinking about that. They're thinking about what they got to do their job, to be successful, to honor these seniors. So I'm excited for that. I'm also excited because from just a layperson perspective, observing all this year, we have an opportunity. We already swept the Dakotas. Now we have an opportunity to sweep the Montanas. That's pretty cool.
I didn't even think about that.
I don't even know if that's been done. That's pretty well, first of all, you'd have to play them all in one calendar year, and I don't know that
how many people have.
But to say you've done that in this classification, that's a cool little, feather in the cap as well. So pretty exciting stuff. Let's move into defense. What does defense have to do to be successful?
I think it's all about just being disciplined. You know what I mean? They're going to throw some new stuff at you that we haven't seen all year. But I think just being disciplined and playing your brand of football, right? Because like we said earlier, like with the big gaps, like some of the stuff you might see might look a bit different, and how they switch up their depth and all this. Like, But if you go out there and play your kind of football, like there is nobody that can touch these guys. Like it's not close to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's the end of the year, so we kind of get to say it like that. But like, and they've shown it all year. Like when they're locked in and they're playing football, like there is nobody that can score on them. You cannot put together a drive on these guys when they're locked in. Like if they put together a full game like that, it's about to get atrocious.
Yeah,
for those guys.
I think comparably, looking because it's fun to look at styles and it's fun to look at keys to success and what these other teams do to try to kind of capture that momentum. And I think looking at what Michigan was able to do to get Jalen Milroe off his spots and obviously can keep contained, force him up into the pocket, dent it with your interior linemen and blitzing backers and blitzing from depth, not necessarily blitzing from the line of scrimmage. That's huge. That keeps wide gap offensive linemen on their heels, right? And so I think that's something that's going to be crucial. I think in this game, I think in every game you could say you'll go as far as your defensive line will take you and your offensive line. In this game, I want to see what our linebackers do. Because if our linebackers eat in the run game and they cover well, it's going to be hard for them to establish momentum and stay ahead of the chains. That's just my take. Defensively, I think we need to make sure that we tackle well. This is a team that does have very good skill positions. And then their running back, I don't know that we've seen a guy that size, that Ostmo. He is where was that at? Ostmo is 6 foot 220. So he's about, we're used to tackling Zay, at least fitting him up in practice. Zay's 6'1", 225, 230. So pretty similar. But we have to make sure that we shut that down.
Similar in size.
Similar. Yeah, that's a good point. We could stop there. But he's had injury issues too over the course of his career. And I think that's why he's hanging it up after this one. I think he does have an additional year that he's choosing to forego, but he was fun to watch as well. I think we just need to be able to wrap up. That's my point here.
Yeah.
Got to wrap up just like we did. If we can just take what happened in the Albany game and mirror that in terms of the pursuit, in terms of the tenacity, in terms of the lack of mistakes from a penalty standpoint, I think we're as good as gold. And I think, I want to see from both sides just a clean game. I do not want the zebras involved. It makes for a longer day than needs to be, and then it makes the whole aura of the game just gets brought down. So I'd like to see a clean game on both sides. So that's offense, defense, and special teams. We're going to move into another segment called Asset of the Week, presented by True North Retirement Team. So starting on defense, since that's where we left off, who you got?
I'm going to lump them all together, and I'm going to say, give me the seniors. It's their last game together. This is Coach Rogers' first national championship as a head coach. I know that they are rocking. So give me every last senior for all of them.
Boom. Done. Like it. I'm not even going to say anything because you stole the show and I couldn't agree more. Beautiful. All the seniors are our asset of the week on defense. Moving to the offensive side of the ball, I'll start her off here. Give me the seniors and a +1. Seniors get a +1. Mark Gronowski. The man who was the most valuable player last year in the national championship game, who took tops off the defense, was just a true master and commander of the team. As he goes, the team goes from a leadership standpoint, from a moxie standpoint, playmaking standpoint. It's got to be the guy, right? Mark and the seniors. That's my offensive pick. Who you got?
I'm just going to agree with you there. I believe you are correct.
Let's go. And I can't really remember. I think Zay is a senior, but if he's not, we all know where he's going. He's league bound after this one. And if he's not, we should all tell him to go. As much as I love seeing him in blue and yellow, that man needs to get paid. Yeah. All right. On special teams, I'm going to go with the guy. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to pivot because I know Dustman's going to take care of business. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to go Juice because he brought the juice in the playoffs that helped springboard us to get to the point that we were against Albany. And now I want to see him cover kicks that way. Because I think if we cover kicks with a tenacity like that, just like my guy Graham does, Graham Spalding, just like Caleb Francel does, just like all those dogs on special teams, they're trying to eat. I want to see Juice show up again with a big playmaking, game-changing play.
And like you said, we'll put an asterisk, understood Dustman, right? Like, because he's gonna do his deal. Man, give me Tucker Large because they've been talking about Buddy too much. I want Tucker to go so crazy that they don't even mention Junior Bergen. They're like, who was that other guy who's returning play? It doesn't matter. Tucker Large went crazy. I'm trying to see what he does Sunday.
Couldn't have picked anybody better. Love it. I mean, they do need to put some respect on his name because dude is a baller, especially on defense too. Can't forget that.
Yeah.
He's a huge contributor there. All right, now we're going to move into our final segment, obviously, naturally, predictions. So I'll start us off here just from the standpoint of there's a lot of folks who think that the Griz are going to just supersede the point total we've given up all year. The highest point total we've given up, I think, was 21 points in scrub time to both UND and Illinois State. I think the next highest total we've given up was 16 to Montana State. Our average that we're giving up is 10. I believe under that, actually. In the playoffs, it's 4 points. That being said, we're averaging 38.4 points a game. I'm going to say the Jacks finish 31. I think it could be low scoring too, all the way around. But I'm going to just say we get 5 more points than we did against Montana State, 31-17. Jacks.
I was going to go 32-10. Jacks. Good guys.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I could see it being sloppy, but the weather is going to be beautiful. It's going to be dry. It's supposed to rain at about 10 o'clock tonight here in Texas, Lone Star State where I'm at. So it's supposed to rain about an hour and a half. It's going to be dry towards the end of Friday. It'll be dry Saturday, and then it'll be dry Sunday. So field's going to be as it is. Like, you played on it in a freaking white squall, torrential downpour, basically a hurricane in Texas. When the day before it was literally one of the nicest days I've ever seen in my life here. Like, you could literally blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. And the grass looked literally like it was cut with scissors. It was so nice. But conditions are not going to be a factor, like Villanova, like in your national title that you played in. So I don't think that'll be an issue. With that, I think we've covered everything. You got any last thoughts? Last thing you want to say on this great season of podcasting that we embarked on?
Just want to shout out the seniors one more time, because I remember when I first got my offer to South Dakota State, I told my high school coach, and he was like, "Is that the good one or not?" And I was like, "It's a blue one." He was like, "Oh, no." You know what I mean? Like, referring to North Dakota State. And now, like, after what you guys have pulled off these last couple seasons, I could officially go to him and be like, they are the good one. F you. So proud of you guys. Do your thing this weekend. We're going to be there watching.
That's right. And shout out to everybody who came before him, because everybody like yourself who set the standard and continue to elevate that standard and build upon it are crucial components in where the program is now and where it's going. What McKnight and everybody has done with the JFPA and all the hype surrounding it, Dakota News Now with Zach Borg and Matt Zimmer's coverage and Jackrabbit Illustrated's coverage and all these little pods popping up and the local paper and the Collegian. This momentum that's being built isn't just because 1 year we were good. It's several years of buildup. It's buy-in from boosters. And like you said, to just put a capstone on it, this senior class has really elevated it to heights unseen. And got one more point of elevation coming up this Sunday. And I just want to say one last thing. It's business and it's personal. So on that note, go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Go Jacks.
That's right.